The Bible gives surprisingly precise geographic clues to the Garden of Eden, yet modern maps show no trace. By the end of this documentary, you'll see why its true location has eluded us, and what this lost paradise reveals about our ancient past. Imagine a world untouched by sin, a perfect garden tended by God Himself. This is the Garden of Eden, the birthplace of humanity, described with astonishing detail in the book of Genesis. But if it was a real place, why has its location vanished from all modern maps? The Bible tells us a river flowed out of Eden, dividing into 4 headwaters, watering the garden before spreading across the ancient world. But wait, it doesn't just mention a generic river. Genesis chapter 2 verse 10 to 14 names 4 specific rivers: the Pishon, the Gihon, the Hiddekel, and the Euphrates, along with regions like Havilah and Cush. These aren't mythical names. The Hiddekel is undeniably the Tigris, and the Euphrates remains a major river today. But if these 2 are known, where are the others? And how could an entire landscape described so vividly simply disappear? The clues from Genesis 2 are our primary map. 2 rivers, the Tigris, Hiddekel, and Euphrates, anchor us firmly in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. Yet the Pishon is said to have flowed around the land of Havilah, rich in gold, bdellium, and onyx. The Gihon encircled the land of Cush. Havilah is often associated with the Arabian Peninsula, while Cush typically refers to regions in northeast Africa, like ancient Ethiopia or Sudan. This creates a colossal problem. How could 4 rivers originating from a single source in Eden span such vast, geographically disparate regions? But wait, some scholars propose that the 4-river system describes a primordial superriver network that existed long before our current topography. If this is true, what cataclysmic event could have so drastically reshaped Earth's surface, making a direct correlation almost impossible? The most profound geological event recorded in the Bible, and often ignored in the search for Eden, is the Noahic Flood. Genesis chapter 7 verse 11 states, "On that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened." This wasn't just heavy rain, it was a global upheaval. The phrase, "fountains of the great deep," suggests massive subterranean forces, volcanic activity, and continent-reshaping tectonics. But wait, modern geology, while largely uniformitarian, does acknowledge evidence of rapid, large-scale geological processes and catastrophic events in Earth's history, some even pointing to catastrophic plate tectonics. If the flood fundamentally altered land masses, submerged coastlines, and raised new mountains, then the pre-flood world, including Eden, would be unrecognizable. If the entire Earth was so dramatically reshaped, then searching for Eden on current maps might be like looking for a pre-earthquake city on a post-earthquake landscape. How, then, can we even begin to narrow down its original location? Despite the flood's transformative power, the persistence of river names like Tigris and Euphrates after the deluge suggests some continuity. This points us back to the Mesopotamian basin, where these 2 rivers still converge today. Many scholars, therefore, locate Eden's general vicinity in what is now modern Iraq, possibly near the head of the Persian Gulf. This region is a historical cradle of civilization, rich in ancient sites. But wait, the Bible's description in Genesis chapter 2 verse 10 states that a river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there it divided into 4 headwaters. This phrasing is crucial. It implies Eden was upstream, the source from which a single river branched into 4, not a meeting point for 4 disparate rivers. This challenges the idea of Eden being directly at the modern confluence of the Tigris and Euphrates, suggesting a location further north, or perhaps one now completely submerged. If Eden was the true source, where would that singular, primordial river have begun? The source interpretation of Genesis chapter 2 verse 10 suggests Eden occupied an elevated region, with a single river flowing out and then branching into the four named tributaries. This implies a very different topography than the low-lying Mesopotamian plains we see today. Consider the work of some researchers, including Dr. Juris Surins, who, using satellite imagery and historical texts, proposed a now-submerged Proto-Euphrates river valley beneath the Persian Gulf. This ancient river system, he theorized, could have been fed by other rivers, including the Tigris, and other lost channels, potentially aligning with the four-river description before the Gulf was inundated. But wait, this places the heart of Eden not merely near Mesopotamia, but potentially under the very waters of the Persian Gulf itself, a geological basin that was once dry land. If Eden truly lies buried beneath these waters, fundamentally altered by the flood, what then is the ultimate, spiritual significance of this lost paradise? While no exact GPS coordinates for the pre-flood Garden of Eden can be pinpointed on a modern map, the overwhelming biblical and scientific evidence converges on the broader Mesopotamian region. It was a real, historical place, likely located near the ancient headwaters of the Tigris and Euphrates, profoundly altered by the Noahic Flood, perhaps even submerged beneath the Persian Gulf. Eden was more than a physical location, it was a state of perfect communion with God, a pristine world lost through sin. Yet, the story doesn't end there. The Bible points to a future restoration. Revelation chapter 22 verse 1-2 speaks of a river of the water of life, flowing from the throne of God and the tree of life, in the new heaven and new earth. The search for Eden ultimately reminds us of God's original perfect design, the profound consequences of humanity's fall, and his unwavering promise of ultimate redemption and a restored paradise. Eden reminds us of God's perfect design, the consequence of sin, and the ultimate promise of restoration in him. If this deep dive into scripture and science strengthened your faith, subscribe and join us in uncovering more biblical truths.